I can try answer. It might be lengthy, but let me just try because it will help us. You've touched on Luke chapter 16. I'll explain that, and also it's in First Samuel chapter 28, verse 11. Then the woman asked, "Whom shall I bring up for you?" "Bring up Samuel," he said. This is Saul, who had gone to see like a witch doctor. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out at the top of her voice and said to Saul, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul." One thing that I know, there are stages of death. There are stages of death. There's the now we are alive, and then it gets to a time that we die. When we die, we enter into a state called intermediary state. I'm going to explain that. Intermediary state is the state between the second coming of Christ or resurrection, because we will be resurrected. When Jesus was giving that illustration in Luke chapter 16 from verse 16 to 25, Jesus hadn't died yet. So, he hadn't died for the sins of people. So he was trying to explain how it was when people died before Jesus Christ came. So, I'm going to mix with the story of Samuel so that I hope it brings a clear picture. So in Luke chapter 16, Jesus had not died for the sins of people. Let's have that first. So he was saying there's a story of a rich man and Lazarus. The rich man was dressed in purple. Purple means royalty. He was so rich, he had everything that he needed. And then there was Lazarus, who was poor, that he would eat the crumbs that will fall from the rich man's table. And then they died. When they died, they entered into this state called intermediary state. So, the intermediary state, as I explained, it's the state between death and the coming of Christ and judgment. So when they died, according to theology and the Bible, it says that there was 3 states, 3 places in Hades. The word Hades there in Luke chapter 16, Hades is not hell that we think. So, the Hades that is used there is an abode or a temporary place. Because remember, Jesus Christ had not yet died. Hell is the lake of fire, the final place where the people that are in Hades will be thrown. So Hades is divided into 3 parts. Sawa, sijapoteza mtu. Hades is divided into 3 parts. The first part is where it is called Abraham's bosom. The guy that was poor, when he died, he was living like a righteous life. Before Jesus died, there was a standard of righteousness. Sawa. And the standard of righteousness is found in Genesis 15:6, where it says, Abraham believed in God and it was credited to him as righteousness. So when this man who was eating crumbs that will fall from the rich man's table, he died and he went to Abraham's bosom, the upper part. And then there's the middle part. The middle part is where now the people that died and did not die according to the standard of righteousness. It's like a hell per se. So, like a temporary hell. That's why he was crying. So you see, when you are in the intermediary state, you can still feel. You can still see. This is according to the Bible. So the rich man has gone to a place of torment. In fact, that place was a place of torment. But the guy who was suffering went to a place that is called Abraham's bosom. It was a place of comfort. It was a place that things were good. But they were still confined because Jesus Christ had not yet died. The last part in Hades is called Tartarus. And this one you'll find in the book of Jude. Jude has one chapter. Jude verse 6. In Jude verse 6, it says, I'm paraphrasing, there are demons that are chained there. So Hades is divided into three. So that's why this man who is in hell, he was saying, as in, please go and tell, so that they can be able to tell other people not to come to this place. Now back to the story of Saul. In that, when Saul approached this woman, you see they use divination and all these things, and the work of the enemy is to counter the truth of God. What happened there, when it happened, the woman was shocked. Wewe ni mchawi lakini wewe mwenyewe unakuwa shocked. It's because it's God who intervened. It is God who intervened and brought Samuel. It is God who brought Samuel. But we go to the Bible still, I think it's the book of Isaiah 1 that says, why do you go to the dead on behalf of the living? Why do you go to the dead on behalf of the living? That's why when someone dies, it's finished. Hebrews chapter 9 verse 27 says that once you're dead, judgment is passed. But judgment is different based on, like when we go back to the story of Luke chapter 16, if you died according to the standard of righteousness, it's different. Oh, I forgot to explain something. In the book of Ephesians chapter 4, the Bible says that Jesus Christ died and he descended. What does it mean when he descended? He went to that place called Hades. Sawa, pali watu wote walikufa na the standard of righteousness. Abraham, David, all those people, Job, name them. Because these people in Hades, they were still free, but they were confined. Sawa, that is in Hades. And then in Ephesians 4, it says when Jesus descended, he went and took all of them that died according to the standard of righteousness. And then he took them and then akawapeleka wapi? Sasa kwa God. That's why Paul says now in the book of 2 Corinthians 5:8, absence from this body, this material thing, is present with God. That's why the thief that died alongside Jesus told him, today you will be with me in paradise. Unaona the difference of all these things. I hope it makes sense, Asa. So the people that did not die according to the standard of righteousness when Jesus Christ was alive, even now if you die and you don't know Jesus, you go to that place of torment in Hades. Hawa watoki. And now their judgment comes in the book of Revelation chapter 20, where it says there was a great white throne judgment, and everyone whose name was not in the book of life, you are now cast into the second or the third death. The third death, which is now called the lake of fire. In fact, John, when he was writing Revelation, because it was a prophetic book and he's writing the things that he was saying, I saw Hades being cast into the lake of fire. Ina make sense sasa? Nimeachia hapo.